God. One day I was living in Orlando, Florida. Some of my buddies come over and they said, "Sam, let's go out and have a few drinks." I said, "Okay." See, we didn't go to bar rooms to drink. If we wanted to drink, we'd just drink at home. We went to bar rooms for old-fashioned bar brawls, bar fights. You know, and I love talking about bar fights when there's young people around. And they get on the edge of their seat because they get all excited because we see it on TV and we see it on Fast and Furious and it looks fun. Did y'all ever watch Fast and Furious? Come on, how many watched it? It's not true. Did you ever notice those cars will go 160, 180 kilometers an hour down the road? They wreck, they roll over 5 times, and the guy gets out and he's limping. It's not true. You see a guy in a bar fight, he gets stabbed a couple times in the stomach, and he keeps fighting. Not true. So you get stabbed anywhere in this area, from the rib cage all the way down to here. It's like a tire blowing out. You're going to be holding everything in. You're not fighting no more. When you get shot, once or twice, you don't holler at your buddy like in the movies, "Throw me more ammo!" You're usually laying on the ground. And you'll usually look at your friend and tell them, "Tell my mom, tell my dad, I'm sorry." That's usually what happens. I got into a fight in a bar room, worst bar fight I was ever in my life. And I made up my mind in that bar that if I made it to that door, I'm done living this life. You know, a lot of people, they say, "Oh, this is when he gave his life to the Lord." No, it wasn't. This is when I made up my mind, I'm done living that life. As I was working my way to that door, I seen people lying in pools of blood. And I just kept fighting my way to that door. I didn't make a deal with God. The only deal I made was with myself. You know, rehabs are good. If there's anybody in here fighting an addiction, you know, rehabs are good. I'm not saying they're not. But a rehab cannot take addiction from you. They cannot. You have to make up your mind, I'm done. The rehab can help you through bad times. They can be there to hold on to you and love on you. A lot of times we tell people you need to come down to the church and come to the altar and let Jesus take that drug addiction from you. He doesn't work that way. You still got to make up your mind. When you walk down to that altar, you got to say, "Jesus, here I am. I'm yours." Then he'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you. But you have to make up your mind. I'm done. When I made it to my car that night, I drove home and I walked in the house. I told my wife, I said, "We're moving." See, the biggest problem with people with addictions, you think you can quit and still help your friends. You can't. People get off the juice for a month or two, and the first thing they start thinking, "I'm going to go back down to the clubhouse, and I'm going to go back down to the crack house, and I'm going to witness to my friends," and you end up doing it again. You can't help no one till you first help yourself. And there's a 5-year grace. I'm telling you, it took me 10 years, not 5. There's a 5-year grace. If you can stay off of it for 5 years, then you're still on dangerous ground, but then you can start to help your friends. We moved back to my hometown in Pennsylvania. When we got back to Pennsylvania, to my hometown, because no one knew me, they only knew me as a kid and heard rumors about me, I knew I was going to be safe as long as I stayed with positive people. Nobody involved in drugs and alcohol. I wasn't going to look for any new friends, just positive friends. So we moved back there, and all of a sudden my wife starts going to church with my mother. Every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, they're going to midweek services. They're going to prayer meetings. All of a sudden, my wife becomes best friends with my mother. They're going shopping together. That's not good. I know some of you men are sitting in here and you're just saying, I wish my wife and mom would just get along. No, you don't. Your wife and your mother is not to get along. Because when they become best friends, you will never be right again. It will always be your fault. And you don't have one after you got two. My wife started this every week. Honey, will you go to church? Honey, will you go to church with me? Honey, will you go to church, Sunday morning? Just go Sunday morning. There's a missionary going to be there. You need to come hear the missionary. Honey, will you go to church? A machine gun preacher's going to be there this week. Some of you may have heard that before. This went on for months after month. Went on for over a year, almost 2 years. All I heard was, honey, will you go to church? Will you go to church? I don't know what you call that in Australia, but in America we call it nagging. And in America, when a woman nags so much, us men, we stand up and we're men and we put our foot down and we stop it. We say, okay, I'll go. Listen, if you got a nagging wife or a nagging girlfriend, just say, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. It don't have to go on for days or weeks. Just say, I'll do it, honey, I'll do it. Then they stop. So I went to church. This old-fashioned Assembly of God church. Pentecostal. I was raised in the Pentecostal rim. I know what it is, okay? But it's always best if you go to a Pentecostal church, sit near an exit door. You might have to run out of there, you never know. So I sat in the back row near the exit door. And that preacher started preaching. And the more he preached, the madder I got at my wife. I started thinking, I can't believe this woman. She called him up and told him everything about me. It seemed like everything he was talking about was me. So finally, he gave an invitation. You can either stand to your feet and accept Jesus Christ, or you can walk down to the altar. I was trying to get up. I knew this was my time. I couldn't move. It was like I had a stroke. My legs wouldn't move. I couldn't even lift my arm. I was trying to lift my arm. I couldn't do nothing. Preachers used to be preachers 25, 30 years ago. This guy comes walking down the aisle. Walks clean to the back of the church, lays hands on me, and he says, man, the power of God is all over you, and you're just sitting here. I started weeping. I started crying in the back seat of that old-fashioned church, sitting in my seat. And I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. I just got a taste of Jesus that night. I just got a taste. I consider serving Jesus Christ like going to a buffet. Y'all know what a buffet is? Yeah. I know some of you do. I know, that was bad, wasn't it? Should have knew better at having a machine gun preacher come to your church. But anyways, why do we like a buffet? You get all you want. See, that's how it is serving Jesus. See, some of you just might want to nibble. You know what I say to people in the buffet? Move over. I'm coming through. So I got a taste of him in that back row. So the next night they were starting a revival. I come up and I sat on the front row. I heard enough preaching already. I just wanted the buffet line. See, the buffet line is up here. The altar. So I wanted him to do the altar call. And this preacher didn't know when to shut up. He just kept preaching. I'm looking at the clock. I'm looking at my watch. I don't even wear a watch. But this is how you tell a preacher it's time to quit preaching. Just start looking at the watch and look back at him and look at the watch, kind of show him a little bit. They catch on, okay? So I'm just looking at the watch thinking, well, maybe he'll catch on. I want the altar call. So finally he gives the altar call. I acted just like I was in the buffet. I turned around, I gave everyone a mean look. I mean, don't get in front of me. So I jump up there, and that preacher, he just kept preaching. He's walking back and forth, and I'm getting nervous. I'm looking around, and people are starting to move, and people are starting to come to the altar, and I'm thinking, oh no, God, somebody's going to get in front of me. So I got right behind that preacher. As fast as he was moving, I was moving. I was staying on his heels. I mean, he would make a turn, I'd make a turn. I'm not going to let this preacher go. And finally, he turns around, and he looks me dead in the face, and he starts to prophesy. He starts telling me I'm going to Africa. I'm thinking in my head, I ain't going to Africa. I'm a white man. Why would I go to Africa? He starts telling me I'm going to be in a war. I'm thinking I'm already in a war. I'm married. I'm not going to be in another war. He just kept prophesying. He just kept on prophesying. I was getting mad. I just got saved, okay? I was a pretty rough guy. I was riding with a club. I mean, I was mean. And this man wouldn't shut up. I figured I'm going to have to beat the snot out of this preacher. Can't do it in the church, okay? So I go outside the church and I waited. I waited on that preacher to come out. I figured I'm going to beat this guy up. Nobody's telling me where I'm going to go. That's all I hear at home. I'm not going to come to church and listen to it. So he comes walking through the door. I do a Clint Eastwood with my last bit of cigarette, took a drag, flipped it, and I started cussing him out. Don't tell me I'm going to Africa. Don't tell me I'm going to be in a war. And the more I cussed at him, you know how them preachers are. We got a bunch of them on the front row here. They always got a little smirk on their face, especially when you get